Y'all won't believe this? Remy Ma just turned an entire party upside down, storming into Claressa Shields and Papoose's celebration and leaving nothing but chaos in her path. Cameras were rolling, people were screaming, and what went down was pure mayhem. This wasn't just drama, this was destruction. And the footage is going viral everywhere. Y'all won't believe this one. Just when we thought the Claressa Shields and Papoose scandal couldn't get any messier, Remy Ma came through and flipped the whole situation on its head, literally. What was supposed to be a private, intimate party turned into pure chaos. With guests screaming, cameras rolling, and the internet exploding in real time, and the shocking part, which was all caught on camera. Let's rewind, because this didn't happen overnight. After Claressa Shields dropped her bombshell pregnancy announcement with Papoose by her side, the hip-hop and boxing worlds have been buzzing non-stop. The announcement alone had already sent shockwaves, fans questioning loyalty, debating betrayal, and dragging both Claressa and Papoose while sympathizing with Remy Ma. And while Remy stayed silent in public, insiders said she wasn't sitting at home crying. She was plotting. Now here's where things take a wild turn. Claressa and Papoose, despite all the backlash, decided to celebrate. They hosted a small gathering, what insiders are calling a victory party with close friends and supporters. The mood inside was said to be upbeat, with music blasting, drinks flowing, and Claressa looking radiant as she smiled and showed off her growing baby bump. To them, this was a moment of triumph. To the world, it looked like they were doubling down, flaunting their connection in the face of controversy. But the one thing they didn't expect? Remy Ma walking through those doors, according to multiple sources. Remy had gotten word about the party through mutual friends. At first, people assumed she'd avoid it, keep her distance, and maintain her dignity. But Remy is not built like that. She's never been one to sit back quietly while people play with her name and her marriage. So when she walked into that room, the energy shifted instantly. Guests say the music screeched to a halt, conversations froze, and every pair of eyes locked onto her. Remy didn't sneak in quietly. No, she came in with purpose. Rocking all black, her face stone cold, she looked like a woman on a mission. People describe the moment as something out of a movie. Claressa and Papoose were standing at the center of the room, Claressa holding a glass in her hand mid-toast when Remy appeared. The look on her face, unforgiving. Witnesses say Claressa tried to keep her composure, smiling nervously, but Papoose's expression gave everything away. He looked like he'd just seen a ghost. For years, Papoose was known as the loyal, ride-or-die husband, but in that moment, with Remy staring him down, that entire reputation shattered in front of everyone. And then the fireworks began. People in the room claim Remy didn't hold back. She immediately called out Claressa, saying she was a disgrace and accusing her of destroying a family for clout. Guests gasped as Remy's voice echoed through the room. She wasn't yelling wildly, she was speaking with sharp precision, every word cutting deeper than the last. She told Papoose he had humiliated her, turned her into a public spectacle, and betrayed everything they had built. And as she spoke, cameras were recording, phones were up. Nobody wanted to miss a second. Claressa, never one to back down, reportedly clapped back. She told Remy she wasn't stealing anybody's man, that what she and Papoose had was real, and that she wasn't about to let anyone silence her joy. That's when things escalated into full-on chaos. People said Remy stepped closer, getting right in Claressa's face. Security and friends rushed to get between them, but the tension was so thick it felt like a fight could break out any second. Guests were screaming, trying to calm things down, but Remy wasn't budging. For the first time since this entire scandal broke, she was letting all that bottled-up rage out, and Claressa was standing her ground and Papoose. He stood frozen, torn between the two women in his life, unable to control the situation. The man once praised for his loyalty now looked powerless as everything crumbled around him. Videos from that night have already started leaking online. The reactions are insane. One clip shows Remy pointing at Claressa, her voice cracking. As she yells, "You think this is cute? You think breaking up a home is something to celebrate?" Another shows Claressa firing back, saying, "I'm not hiding anymore. This is my truth." The room erupts as people scream in disbelief, some siding with Remy, others defending Claressa. But everyone's stunned that this confrontation was unfolding in real time. Social media went into a frenzy the second the clips hit Twitter, lit up with hashtags like hashtag RemyVs, CLARESSA, and hashtag PartyChaos, with fans taking sides in the war. Some praised Remy for confronting them head-on, saying she had every right to crash that party and demand answers. Others accused her of letting her emotions get the best of her, claiming she should have handled it privately instead of creating a scene. And then there were those who blamed Papoose entirely, saying he was the one who invited this disaster. By standing silent for too long, what makes this moment even more iconic is how raw it was. This wasn't a scripted reality TV scene. This wasn't a staged publicity stunt. This was real emotion, real betrayal, and real chaos caught on camera. Fans are calling it one of the most shocking moments in hip-hop drama history, comparing it to some of the wildest confrontations we've ever seen on reality shows. But it's with even higher stakes because this was real life. Insiders say the party was completely ruined. Guests left early. Security had to escort people out. And the mood went from celebratory to catastrophic in minutes. What was meant to be a toast to new beginnings turned into a battlefield of accusations, tears, and shouting. And Remy walking out of that venue. People said it was like watching a queen reclaim her throne head high, voice shaking, but making it clear that she wasn't going to let anyone erase her. The aftermath of that night is going to be even crazier than the event itself. Claressa might have made her announcement, but Remy made her stand. And now the world is left wondering, where does this go from here? Will Remy finally walk away from Papoose for good? Will Claressa double down and release more receipts too? Prove her side of the story. Or will Papoose finally break his silence and try to pick up the pieces of the empire he helped build? One thing's for sure. That night was a turning point. It wasn't just a party anymore, it was the night Remy Ma reminded the world that she's not to be played with. And as the cameras continue to roll, as the blogs continue to post, and as fans continue to argue, one thing is clear. The story is far from over. The fallout from Remy Ma's explosive entrance at Claressa and Papoose's party is nothing short of historic. The moment she stormed in, confronted Claressa head-on, and left the entire event in shambles. The culture knew this wasn't going to stay behind closed doors. And sure enough, within hours, the footage from that night went viral. Every gossip page, every blog, every fan account was posting the clips on repeat. It wasn't just a scandal anymore, it was a spectacle. The first clip that spread showed Remy charging across the room as Claressa raised her glass in mid-toast. The audio is crystal clear. Remy shouting, "You think this is cute? You think breaking up my home is something to celebrate?" The crowd gasps, the music cuts, and the chaos begins. That single clip alone racked up millions of views across TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. Fans said it was like watching a reality show in real life, except the pain on Remy's face was too real to be scripted, almost immediately. The internet picked sides. Team Remy hashtags flooded the timeline. Fans called her a queen for standing up for herself, saying she had every right to confront Claressa in that moment. They argued that Remy had already suffered enough embarrassment from the initial pregnancy announcement, and this was her way of taking the power back. One fan wrote, "Remy didn't just walk into that room, she walked back into her dignity, period." But then there were fans who sided with Claressa. They claimed that Remy crashing the party made her look weak, emotional, and out of control. Supporters of Claressa said she had the right to celebrate her new beginning without being ambushed. One tweet that went viral read, "If Papoose chose Claressa, that's between them." Remy showing up screaming only makes her look bitter. And that sparked an entirely new debate online. Was Remy reclaiming her respect, or was she letting her emotions ruin her image? Then came the third group, fans, who put all the blame squarely on Papoose. Because while the women were clashing, the man at the center of it all stood frozen. In the leaked videos, Papoose can be seen standing awkwardly between them, his face pale, his hands raised like he's trying to calm the storm, but his mouth says nothing. Not once in the clips does. He defend Remy, deny Claressa's claims, or try to shut the confrontation down. And that silence is what fans are roasting him for the most on social media. Papoose went from hip-hop's most loyal husband to the man who ruined his legacy overnight. Memes started flooding the internet, side by side. Clips of Papoose's old interviews praising loyalty next to the chaos unfolding at that party. People wrote captions like, "So this is the man y'all called loyal. And he was the blueprint until the blueprint crumbled." The dragging has been relentless, and for the first time in his career, Papoose's reputation is in shambles. Even celebrities started chiming in. Okay? Battle rappers, industry insiders, and even fellow Love and Hip Hop alumni couldn't resist commenting on the chaos. Some defended Remy, saying they couldn't imagine the humiliation she's endured these past weeks. Others hinted that this wasn't as simple as it looked, that Remy and Papoose's marriage had already been rocky behind the scenes. Either way, the fact that stars were jumping in only added fuel to the fire. And Claressa, she's handling. It's the only way she knows how, by standing tall. Sources close to her claim she isn't backing down even after Remy's public explosion. They say she sees herself as the victim in this to someone who found happiness and is being demonized. For it allegedly, after the party, she posted a cryptic message on her private social media saying, "You can't destroy what was already broken." Fans immediately interpreted it as a shot at Remy, suggesting that Claressa believes Remy and Papoose's marriage was over long before she came into the picture. But if Claressa thought that post would win her sympathy, it backfired. Screenshots leaked and fans swarmed the comments, calling her cold, insensitive, and disrespectful. One fan wrote, "Sis, you are pregnant by a married man. Have some shame." Another said, "You can be happy without destroying another woman. This ain't it." The backlash was intense, and though Claressa later deleted the post, the damage was already done. Meanwhile, insiders say Remy has been lying low since the chaos. But people close to her claim she feels a sense of release after confronting them. They say she finally let out all the pain and humiliation she had been holding in. And now, she's focused on her next move. Some believe she's gearing up to speak publicly, either through an exclusive sit-down interview or through music. Fans are practically begging for a freestyle, saying, "We need Remy to get in the booth and air this all out." The pressure is mounting because the culture thrives on receipts. And right now, people are wondering who's going to drop them first. Will Remy spill hidden details about Claressa and Papoose's relationship? Will Claressa release proof that she's not lying about the baby? Or will Papoose finally break his silence and explain how he ended up in the middle of this mess? The suspense is keeping everyone glued to their phones. Let's not forget the business angle. Papoose and Remy have built brands together, endorsements, TV appearances, even business ventures. This scandal could cost them millions if sponsors and networks decide their image is too toxic. On the flip side, Claressa's boxing career is also at risk. With her next fight on the horizon, critics are questioning whether she's too distracted by drama to focus. And in a sport where discipline is everything, distraction can cost you everything. But despite the criticism, Claressa has a loyal fan base that refuses to abandon her. They argue that she's being vilified simply because she's a woman, while Papoose is being let off lightly for his role. One viral thread on Twitter read, "Why is Claressa getting dragged more than Papoose? He's the married one. Blame him." not her. And that argument is spreading fast. The leaked videos also sparked conversations about respect, loyalty, and the fragile nature of celebrity relationships. Fans are now comparing Remy and Papoose to other famous couples who looked strong on the outside but were falling apart behind closed doors. Some are even saying this scandal is proof that true love in hip-hop doesn't exist. Because if Remy and Papoose could break, anyone can. As for the party itself, witnesses said the aftermath was surreal. Guests left shaken, whispering about what they had just witnessed. One insider described it as the night the empire fell, because the image of Remy and Papoose as hip-hop's most loyal couple was destroyed in a single evening. But here's the kicker. The footage is still spreading and more clips keep surfacing. Different angles, different moments, even behind-the-scenes conversations are leaking out. It feels like the whole world was filming that night, and each new clip makes the story messier. One leaked video even shows security struggling to keep Remy and Claressa apart as people scream, "Turn off the cameras." But of course, nobody did. This isn't just gossip anymore, it's history in the making. The clash of a boxing champion, a rap queen, and a husband caught in the middle has created one of the most shocking scandals of the decade. And the craziest part? Still unfolding. The world is waiting for the next shoe to drop. Because while Remy destroyed the party, the real destruction is happening in the aftermath. Reputations, careers, and entire legacies are on the line. And as the culture debates who's right, who's wrong, and who's to blame, one thing is certain: the chaos is far from over. If part 1 was the explosion and part 2 was the fallout, then part 3 is the aftermath, the part where careers, reputations, and futures are on the line. Because make no mistake, the night Remy Ma stormed into Claressa and Papoose's party didn't just destroy a celebration. It shook the entire hip-hop culture. And the ripples are still spreading. In the days that followed, the chaos reached levels nobody thought possible. The footage of Remy flipping tables and Claressa being pulled back by security wasn't just trending, it was dominating headlines across gossip sites, sports blogs, and mainstream outlets. TMZ, The Shade Room, Hollywood Unlocked, every platform had a different angle, a different exclusive. And the world was eating it up. But here's the kicker. The story didn't stop with the fight. More leaks started surfacing, private conversations, screenshots, even voice notes that allegedly captured heated arguments between the three. Suddenly, this wasn't just a scandal, it was a saga, and everyone wanted to know what the next chapter would be for Remy. The pressure was unbearable. She had built her reputation as one of the most respected women in hip-hop, a queen who overcame prison time, a powerful lyricist who fought her way back to the top, and most importantly, a loyal wife who stood by Papoose when nobody else would. And now she was being painted as the woman who lost it all in one night. Insiders say Remy spent days locked in with her closest circle, debating her next move. Should she go public and tell her side of the story? Should she keep quiet and protect her image? Or should she do what she's always done best? Pick up the mic and let her bars do the talking. Fans begged for the latter, flooding her comments with messages like, "Drop the diss track, sis. The booth is waiting." But Remy knows that once she speaks, there's no turning back. Meanwhile, Claressa's shields doubled down. The chaos didn't make her retreat, it made her louder. Reports claim that just days after the party disaster, she was spotted out smiling, flaunting her baby bump, and refusing to look ashamed. Paparazzi caught her leaving a restaurant with a smirk on her face. And when reporters shouted questions about Remy, she simply said, "I'm focused on my future, not my past." That one-liner was enough to send the internet spiraling again. But while Claressa tried to frame herself as the one moving forward, Remy's supporters weren't buying it. They flooded Claressa's socials with comments calling her a homewrecker and a career ender. Others accused her of using the scandal to boost her profile. pointing out that she suddenly had more mainstream attention than she'd ever gotten from boxing alone. And in a brutal twist, critics started calling Claressa the Mayweather of mess, suggesting she was more focused on clout than championships. But the real silence, the one everyone was waiting on, came from Papoose. The man at the center of it all hadn't said a word publicly. No interviews, no statements, not even a cryptic tweet. Just silence. And that silence, it spoke volumes. Because fans expected him to defend Remy, or at the very least, address the chaos. Instead, the man once praised for his loyalty was nowhere to be found. Behind the scenes, sources claimed Pap was torn. On one hand, he was terrified of losing Remy, the woman who had been his ride-or-die for decades. On the other, he couldn't abandon Claressa, not with a child on the way. And so, he chose the worst option of all, saying nothing. But in the court of public opinion, silence equals guilt. And that's exactly how the world took it. The internet started dragging him harder than ever. Memes called him the coward in the middle. Fans said he was the man who fumbled loyalty and legacy in one move. The narrative had shifted. Remy was no longer seen as just an emotional wife, and Claressa was no longer seen as just a bold challenger. Now Papoose was being painted as the architect of the entire disaster. And here's where things got really messy. Rumors started flying that Remy had filed for separation, or at the very least was preparing to walk away. Allegedly, lawyers were contacted, assets were being discussed. And Remy was considering protecting her empire before it could be tied up in Papoose's scandal. If true, it would mark the end of one of hip-hop's most iconic marriages of love, story that had been celebrated for years as untouchable. But let's be real, the culture is addicted to drama. And as messy as this is, people are already speculating about what comes next. Will Remy bounce back stronger, drop music, and reclaim her throne? Will Claressa ride this scandal into a bigger spotlight, using the controversy to fuel her career? Or will Papoose finally step up and try to repair the damage before it's too late? The stakes couldn't be higher. For Remy, this is about dignity. For Claressa, it's about respect. For Papoose, it's about survival and the fans. Just here for the receipts, but let's zoom out for a second. This scandal isn't just about three people, it's about what it says to the culture. It's about loyalty, betrayal, and the thin line between love and chaos. Remy Ma represented hope, proof that love could survive the darkest storms. Claressa represented ambition, someone unafraid to chase what she wanted, no matter the cost. And Papoose represented stability until he didn't. Put them all together, and you've got a story that feels less like real life and more like a Shakespearean tragedy playing out in real time. And don't think for one second that networks and producers aren't watching this. There are already whispers about reality TV offers, documentary deals, even sit-down interviews. Because as toxic as this scandal is, it's also profitable. People can't stop watching, can't stop talking, can't stop choosing sides. It's the kind of drama that fuels the industry. Everybody knows it. The question now is, what happens when the cameras stop rolling? Can Remy truly heal after this betrayal? Can Claressa handle the pressure of being labeled the villain while carrying a child? Can Papoose rebuild the trust he shattered? Or has he burned his legacy forever? Those are the questions the world is asking. And the answers are still hanging in the air. But one thing's for sure. The night Remy Ma destroyed that party will go down in history. It wasn't just chaos. It wasn't just drama. It was a turning point. And whether it leads to redemption or complete destruction, only time will tell. So buckle up, because this saga isn't over. If anything, the real storm is only beginning. And there you have it, absolute chaos, betrayal, and heartbreak caught on camera. Remy Ma tearing through Claressa and Papoose's party wasn't just a moment, it was a cultural earthquake that everyone is still talking about. But now, I want to hear from you. Do you think Remy was justified in standing her ground and letting her emotions fly? Or did she take it way too far and let her anger ruin her own legacy? Was Claressa out of line for flaunting her connection with Papoose so boldly? Or is she simply refusing to back down from anyone? And most importantly, where does this leave Papoose? Is he the victim of circumstance or the architect of his own downfall? Drop your thoughts, your theories, and your hot takes down in the comments aisle. Be reading them all because this is the kind of drama that sparks real conversation across the culture. And if you love the way we break down the truth, the rumors, and all the raw emotions the mainstream won't touch, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Because trust me, this story isn't over, and the next chapter is going to be even wilder. Stay tuned.